Hello friends, welcome to Knitography. I'm Patricia and I'm coming to you from the middle of Norway. I live on a little farm just outside of the city of Trondheim. So I hope that you've had a wonderful summer. We have had just the most relaxing and adventurous summer. And it's hard to get back to recording and into routine, but soon summer is coming to an end, and I'll be back at work full time and getting back into the routine of school. So before then, I thought I would just pop in and share some of the many things that I've been working on and some stories from my adventures. And also I'm very excited because I think, fingers crossed, my daughter is going to join me during this vlog to share some of the things that she's been working on. My daughter is soon 19 years old, and she started knitting with her grandmother, which is her farmor, her papa's mom. And farmor taught her some stitches when she was 4 and 5. And then when my mom ventured to Norway and stayed with us for quite a long time, she also taught Emma Grace how to knit. And then it's been me. So she said to me that it was very special, and maybe she'll share this when she joins me, that it's been really special that both of her grandmas and then, of course, I've been able to share some of my knowledge with her. So I hope she'll join us. She's a very shy girl. She's she loves to read, and she's extremely artistic. And so just to start this off, because I don't want to embarrass her in front of when she joins me, I wanted to show you her first ever sweater. So this is her first sweater, and I'm going to let her talk about it. And really, it's a very nice sweater. She never wore it because it was too small in the end. But this is her first attempt at knitting a sweater. And I thought her, raglan increases and ribbing and everything was really good. And this is a yarn. This was really before... This is kind of when I was a new knitter also and didn't really understand about indie dyers, or I was just beginning also my journey of knitting. But this is when if you're from Norway, this is when the Pickles girls were selling yarn out of their own homes in their living room. So right when they started and I heard about them, I ordered. This is Abuela. And this is a Peruvian yarn that they commissioned, and it's a beautiful yarn. I think it's like worsted weight. It might be Aran weight. But anyway, Emma didn't really, she just was knitting. She didn't really understand about fit or gauge or anything. And I tried to help her, but she was just determined to kind of do it herself. And yeah, so she never wore this sweater, but I really treasure it because it was her, really first project. And yeah, someday I might do something with it, put a woolly tattoo on it, or something for her as a gift. But she'll tell you a little bit more about this experience. And she was 12 years old when she knit this sweater. So yeah, it's very special. I dug it out just to for this occasion. So she has 2 other traditional sweaters that she'll share with us when she joins. So I began the summer with the project that I have on. I got this wool at the end of May. I ordered it in anticipation of knitting this dress for the summer. Now, I have lived in this woolen dress. In Norway, our summer temperatures, I would say the highest I've really ever experienced was around, maybe 76 degrees Fahrenheit. And so the mornings and the evenings, especially as high as we are up here in the mountains, is very cool. So in the morning, I put on my woolen dress, and in the evening, I have it on. I wear it a lot. And this is, of course, the Birkin sweater, jumper, pullover from the Leon magazine. And the funny thing about this project was I went to Oslo on a teacher conference, and I really wanted to visit the pickle shop. So the teachers popped me in a taxi, and they saved my seat for the conference. And I popped over there and realized I was just like a 10-minute walk from the conference. So I walked back quickly. But I was able to get the yarn for this Birkin. Well, mine is a dress, so it's difficult to say jumper. But I knit this, and I really don't even know how to describe the way this wool feels. It's a tweed, but there's something about it. I can't really put my fingers on, but it has a special feel and a special kind of a stretch. And so when I got into the body of knitting it, it just kind of bell-shaped itself. And you see the sleeves are really kind of bell-shaped also. And then I didn't like it because I knew that it was going to be kind of funny shaped as a sweater. But I absolutely love the yarn. I love the yoke that it created, and yeah, I love the knitting experience, but I didn't like the way the yarn was stretching and making this sort of natural bell shape. So I started thinking and thought that I would just keep going, and I would make it into a woolen dress, and that's what I did. Now this is a very roomy dress. I didn't do any sort of body shaping or anything. This is just something that I might wear it to the boutique to get, or the shop to get, some small things that I need. But I probably wouldn't wear this to school or anything like that because, as I say, it is very roomy. But it's more of a leisure dress, and I have worn, as I say, worn it all summer. I've worn it at the cabin. I absolutely love it. I would love to get a more structured yarn maybe that isn't so, this yarn just decided what it was going to be, and as you see, it's, I think it's very flattering, and I chose primary colors because that's, I love primary colors and rainbow colors, and so that's what I did. So this yarn is a Norwegian company called Pickles, and if you haven't really, if you don't know about the Pickle Girls, they are prolific designers, and they design really in their own yarns. And they started in their living room, and then they had like a warehouse and so on, and now they have a brick and mortar shop. So I was really excited to go and visit them. So this is the Birkin dress out of the Leon magazine, and I love it so much. So that was really my first finished object for the summer, and I've just been wearing it continuously. When you're sitting down, it's a bit funny. It kind of rides up the yoke in the back, but when I stand up, it's perfectly fine. So it's just, it can do this when you're sitting, like this can rise up and stuff because of the yoke. One thing I didn't do that I would do the next time, I did not follow the pattern because I'm a real gauge knitter, and I don't really have issues with puckery color work. I haven't had that problem really, but the pattern said in this yoke to go up a half a needle size, and I understand why now. It is because of this rising when you sit down. The yoke is really sturdy, but the rest of it is really drapey. So that's the reason why she wanted you to go up. So then the yoke would just sit, you know. It also helps your color work tension, but I really don't have that problem. But I realize now if I would have gone up, this yoke would have been deeper. And so if you haven't knit this or you've just gotten the kit for it, I really do suggest that you go on up that half a needle size so that the yoke sits really nicely and the rest of the sweater, drapes on you. The next thing that I knitted from the Land magazine, and I also was just participating in a knit along, that Knit Pearl Vibeka on Instagram. She's Knit Pearl. She was doing a knit along with Gregorian fibers from Spain, and I participated in that knit along, and I had these two entries that I'm about to show you. The next one was the Nuke pullover. I think it's called the Nuke pullover. Now I knit this in Madeline Tosh, and I can't remember if it's vintage, but it is a the colorway was jade, and it's a really, really, really vibrant green. The light is kind of washing it out here, but I have to say that I've washed this now twice, and the color is already kind of washing out of it. So, you know, I hand washed it, and it's a really simple knit. I love the construction of it. It's top down. It's really simple. And the only thing I don't like is that it's kind of wide. It's a wide sweater, so it looks really cute on, but when you see it, you see that it looks, it looks a bit wide. And I should have maybe knit a size smaller if I wanted more positive or negative ease. But I really love it over, it looks so nice with a big collar. I have a big collared white shirt, and it's, you know, the tails stick out. So that's how I've been wearing it. And I really love it. So this is a Madeline Tosh just for my stash. It's a superwash yarn, which, you know, I don't use very often anymore. I'm just trying to knit away my stash. The other thing I'm not really happy about is I washed it and it is unbelievably peeling. It's just peeling all over the place, which I haven't had that really in a sweater in a very long time. So I actually had to go to a local shop and to get a de-peeling machine. I got a little de-peeling machine, and I'm still working on de-peeling it. You see that it's some of the spots that I missed, you know. So this is going to be a sweater that I'm going to have to do a lot of maintenance with after I wash it. But I really do love it. It's a good color for me, and I really recommend the Nuke sweater. So that's the Birkin jumper and the Nuke jumper from the Land magazine. So that was the second thing. And I knit that jumper really to wear on a holiday that I went on. And I actually took this one on the first holiday that I went on, but I never wore it because it was super hot. I just wasn't sure of how the evenings would be. So my next project was a wonderful project. One of my favorite knits in a long time. But I ruined it, and I learned a lot from this project. I'm going to tell you the things that I learned, and I'm also going to tell you what I learned from ruining the project. But I always like to join into the summer knit-alongs with organic knitters. Now, I can't order her yarn, and I want to so much, but I always get caught with the, with the custom taxes from Sweden, always. And so, although I follow her and maybe one day I'll order one of her beautiful organic kits, I just, like to join into her patterns. Matilda is the person behind Organic Knitters, and you can follow her on Instagram. But I wanted to knit her shawl design. Now, this shawl is an absolutely, I really recommend this shawl. It is a beautiful knit. And, okay, so I'm just going to start from the beginning, but, you're going to pick a, I had, this was a natural color from Rosie. I actually used the wool that she recommended partially, I think. Did I? Well, anyway, I used Rosie Green wool, which she is a distributor for. And then I used this beautiful skein of speckled pink that a friend of mine, Chris, North Coast Chris on Instagram, and she's knitting a Fair Isle blanket right now, so I highly recommend that you follow her. But she sent me this in a swap, like a gift swap, or I think that we did. And this yarn is from Knit Style. Now, the yarn is beautiful. It was beautifully dyed, and I would order from Knit Style if I could again. Her color, the pink, is absolutely stunning. And then you just start up here, and there's a bit of striping, and that was all fine and good. I love that. You just get this pop of color. And then there's a brioche section, a 2-color brioche section. Now, I've tried brioche before unsuccessfully, and I was just determined this summer that I was going to figure out brioche. So I got the Craftsy class, Natalie Merchant class, and I watched a bit of that. But actually, I have to say, I just didn't have a lot of time. And in the pattern, Matilda just explains it. She just explains it so well. And from her explanation, I learned how to do the 2-color brioche. Now, mind, I don't know how to increase and decrease yet, which is still a goal of mine. But, just from her instructions, I did the brioche section, which is section 2. Now, section 3 is so cool because you have these yarn overs, and then you have these sort of popcorn. Yeah, maybe it's a popcorn stitch. I don't know. It's a pop of color here. And I learned to do that stitch, and I absolutely love that. So clever. I really, really, really enjoyed knitting this little section here with these pops of color. And yeah, I think it's so nice, this shawl, for the way it, you get your pop of color, you get your brioche color, then you get the yarn shining through. And then there's the I-cord bind off. And I really enjoy an I-cord bind off. I know some people think it's really long and tedious, but for me, it's very satisfying. So for me, I don't mind it. I like doing I-cord bind off. And I think just as you're going along, you just have such, you just admire so much the work you've done when you're doing it. I have lots of ends to weave in. Now, I was really busy. It was late at night, and I put this in to soak in my lukewarm Eucalyptus lavender bath, just not thinking at all. And just in a second, the pink bled into the white. I just popped it in. I just sat it in there and, pressed it down. I was doing other things, and I just didn't realize, honestly, I don't have any knowledge about dyeing yarns really, and it's very rare that I've had a bleeding problem. But of course, this is pink and it's vibrant, and I learned that warm water is what reacts with the yarn, and it just bled, and I just pulled it out, and it was just splotchy pink all over the place. Yeah, I was so discouraged. I was really sad, and I put it out on Instagram because I just wanted to gather some knowledge if anyone had any knowledge about the problem. And I got lots of tips, and I got lots of knowledge. And the next day, I put it in a ice cold bath with a bit of vinegar. There wasn't a bit of bleeding, no bleeding at all. And yeah, I, yeah, that's what it is, what it is. And pink is just not my color at all. Pink, I just don't feel comfortable in pink, this color. Now, I love a dark pink. If I had knit, if this had been the natural color and the pink, I would have absolutely loved it. But this kind of pale pastel, yeah, pink, I just don't feel comfortable in it. I think it washes me out with my skin tone. And so anyway, the next day I gave it a good washing out, and with the cold water and the vinegar, no bleeding at all, and it just really smoothed out the pink. It just took all the horrible blotches, because the first time I did it, it was just really strong, really light, really strong, and it just did wonders. And so now I have the job of weaving in the ends, and I have a very dear friend who obviously loves pink, and this will be sent off to her, and I hope she'll wear it and enjoy it, and know that I send my love and had so much joy knitting this shawl. So I'm going to actually take a little break, and I'm going to go get the yarns because I forgot to get the yarns, and I want to show those before I move on. So I thought I would just show you the yarns that I used for the shawl. This is the pink, and it is a lovely speckled. It has greens and, yeah, mostly greens and a little bit of brown in it. And this is the organic rosy green wool, the natural color. And so you can really see what went wrong. So yeah, I'm going to use this for something else for myself. I don't know what yet, but I'll figure that out and be sure to give this a good rinsing before I do. I also wanted to show you the yarn that I used for my Birkin sweater, and this is the leftovers that I had. You see it's tweed, and it picks up the colors. These all go together. It picks up all, and this is what I had left over from just the color work. So I have lots of yarn left to do something with, and I'm excited about that. Really, right now, just in my studio, I have them just like this to enjoy, and I'm just enjoying having those there. This is the Madeline Tosh. I had an extra left over here, and you see the green color. This colorway is Jade. And I can't remember if it's vintage or just their regular DK. I got this yarn, I got a whole sweater's quantity, I even have more, on Camp Bowie Boulevard in Fort Worth, Texas, at the Madeline Tosh shop before they closed. That's my hometown. So Madeline Tosh is from where I come from. I don't know where she is now, but they closed down the Mad Tosh shop. But I just wanted to show you the difference after washing. Yeah, big difference. This is hand washing, and unfortunately, these kinds of sweaters have to go in the dryer. Otherwise, they won't maintain their shape. So this has been in the dryer for about 10-15 minutes. And I didn't alternate skeins or anything. That doesn't bother me. But you see the difference in the color. So a lot of the color are washed out. And yeah, I still really like the sweater, but I do think sometimes that's a little bit, disappointing when all of the, I've just got to do a better job. I think cold water and some vinegar, maybe it's my hand washing, I'm not sure. So the other thing that I finished was my daughter's socks. And I've shown these several times before. And I really, really, really have decided that I love opal yarn. I do think I like it better than Regia. But I don't know why. I just think it feels sturdier, more woolly. And this is the Fresh and Juicy line, and I have another skein of this in the blue that I'm going to do for my son or maybe myself. But I thought I have never done toe-up socks. I've never done 2 at a time. I'm just so, this is my sock. I do a 1x1 rib. I do a 7-inch leg. I do a heel flap, slip stitch heel flap, and I do this toe that is decreased with this at the top. So that's just in my head, standard pattern. I just think the toe that matches your natural toe shape is the most comfortable for me. And when I knit my family socks, they do too. This is where your longest toe is, and then the shorter toes. So I really like this toe. And my daughter really, these fit her perfectly. I showed pictures of her wearing them on Instagram. All of these projects, of course, are on Instagram. And let's see, so the last thing I finished this summer is my Sea Change cardigan by Knit Love Wool, and I use Norwegian pelsøl, which is the lamb curls wool for this, and this is one of my favorite yarns ever. This is a beautiful pattern of a colorwork pattern. I love Jennifer's patterns. I love that. Of course, it's a bottom up. Now this one, it is too long. And I didn't do the body shaping, so it's extremely roomy and probably looks dumpy on me. I've just got to have the confidence to maybe go down a size. I'm just still not there yet mentally with that. I don't know. I really like it. I don't know if I'll, change it. But right now, I love it. And what I love about Jennifer's patterns is when you're knitting, you always do some short rows before the color work and short rows after. There's a lot of different places where you do short rows. And then look at this beautiful raised neck. Some of them, they raise a bit, but with her patterns, they're very comfortable. And I absolutely love this pattern. I knit this along with Sarah of Fiber Track and Claire from the Woolly Thistle, but Claire finished first, and Sarah and I were kind of on the same row, and probably by now she's finished her sweater, or she's close to being finished. I put this little detail at the top. I cast off with the red. I really like that. It makes it sort of my own. Yeah, it's too big, but up here it fits perfectly, and I'm really happy with that. So I highly recommend the Sea Change pullover by by Jennifer. You'll find it. If you search Sea Change on Ravelry, you're sure to find it. So those are the things that I finished this summer. I have a lot of works in progress, which I might save for another video. Because I realize this is going long, and I'll just tell you what I'm working on. I'm working on the ranicula kind of lacy top. I'm working on that maybe to wear like back to school in the teacher work days. I'm using a woolmiza. I am working on the Ingy pullover by Jennifer, the same designer. I am working on my first Norwegian kofta, which I think I told about many vlogs ago, but decreasing up an arm in pattern had me just completely baffled. And I finally just had the courage again to reach out to one of my Norwegian friends. She's completely an expert, and she drew it all out for me. Now, I feel a little bit silly after she drew it out, but I realized that I'm a visual learner and a hands-on learner, and so I needed that just extra help to figure that out, and I'm okay with that. She did like 3 or 4 photos, talked me through it, and I got it right away, and my first kofta is on the needles. So those photos, all of the things I'm working on is you can find on Instagram. I'm also going to do a vlog about my trip to Latvia and the Latvian mitten book. I got a surprise trip to Latvia from my family, and it was all because of the mittens and my love of mittens, and it was such a wonderful journey. As you know, well, if you've watched the previous vlogs, my interest is in Selbu and Selbu mittens, and I've just dived right into that since I've lived here. But yeah, I kind of have done that and learned and interviewed and visited all the places, and I just started really just feeling like I wanted to find what the connection was to other Scandinavian or Nordic countries in this part of the world, Europe, and I got to go to Latvia. And I'm going to dive right into the Latvian mitten experience and the knowledge. And although I'll keep up my Selbuvalted and keep knitting, I got myself a kit. I have the book. I want to share a lot of what I learned with you. And there is such a connection to Selbuvalter. So I don't know if it's interesting. You can let me know. The only thing that I haven't shared from my Selbu experience in depth really is the wedding room, and I wanted to really wait and to share that on my wedding anniversary, so that's still a few months away. I was saving that bit. So I'll tell about that and the tradition when it's my own wedding anniversary, because I want to show you my wedding dress that I designed and is handmade, and just tell that kind of story then. Not only that, but I met some beautiful Latvian knitters, and I got these socks I visited a Latvian knitter at a market on a day. Just, we used body language. I looked at her things. There was a lady next to her that kind of knew English. We were just using body language and everything. And I came back the next day and she had these socks for me. These beautiful socks for hikes and boots. And she was actually, she was actually working on, I think she was working on these, but I bought these the first day. And I thought about these as a gift for my daughter, but my daughter actually likes these better, so yeah, I told her we might share them. But yeah, I bought these, and then she told through her friend to come back the next day, and I got these. So these are from Latvian wool, very similar to the Norwegian old breeds. Yeah, it feels like that, but they're absolutely stunning. So I'm going to take a little break. The other thing I want to show you and talk you through is my studio. And and then maybe I'll show a video of my table of works in progress. And hopefully my daughter will join us and share a little bit about her knitting. And yeah, it's really nice to be back. If you have any questions about the projects that I used or where to get the yarn, please message me on Instagram or through Ravelry. You can email me or message me through Ravelry, and I'll be glad to support you with that. I don't do show notes, and I don't have a Ravelry group, but I'll be happy to answer any questions or offer support. I'm going to take a little break again, tidy up. I want to do a little vlog video from the studio, and then hopefully my daughter will join. So now I thought I would just take you around to see in the studio. Tell you a little bit about it as I video. Yeah, I've tidied up the works, the finished objects, and I'll just switch the camera, and then I will tell you a little bit about this space that we have remodeled this summer. So this is my studio, and this is the view out of the door of the studio onto the farm. You see there's lots of tools and messy bits. This is where we eat up there on that landing. And this is our home and the front door. And anyway, this is my studio. I'll try to... And it's meant to look like a Norwegian hayloft. We designed it to, if you see on a Norwegian farm, there are, these types of platforms that you go up into, and they store hay there. And right beside it is my drying house, and that's where I dry all my laundry. That's also a little traditional space. And so, yeah, it's really a guest house. And the area for the studio is the living room. So we walk in, and if you see the door in the back there, behind that door is a bedroom. There's not a toilet or any sort of kitchen space or anything like that, but there's space in there for a very comfy bedroom. And right now, all of my sewing gear is behind that door, and I'm just needing to unpack it, and I'll show you where it's going to go. So when you walk in the studio, there's a window here, and I have organized my stash in all of the colors, and I put the warm colors on this side. So I've got, my reds and oranges and Very little yellow because I usually start to knit with yellow. And you have this sort of living space here. This is where I sit to knit. And yeah, so this is what I'm working on. This is my little table. And I have my beautiful summer yarn bowl, and I've got socks and a shawl going on in here. Here's my kofta, and here is my little lace top in Wollmeise that I'm working on. So I've got several projects going on right now. And then over here is a spinning wheel that I rescued from the dump. I have no idea if it works. I have no idea how to work it. I shared it before in one of my other vlogs, but mainly it's just, yeah, for me, it's just something that you can look at and has a connection to my knitting, of course. And over here in this corner, I have all the cool colors, the darker ones on the bottom, and I was getting out some, so I've dropped some, but just these bins. And I do have lids for all the bins, but I don't have any, worry about moths, or, we don't have that problem here. Some people have asked me, but I can put the tops on the lids, the bins if I want to. And then here I have a little tea service where Emma Grace and I make tea. And we've got a boiler for water, and we can make coffee. And we've got our tea leaves here, and we've got a tin of biscuits, and we've got, in here I've got linens and biscuits in this drawer, and yeah. And then up here I have this little, I've been a teacher for more than 30 years now, so this is getting kind of old, but this is a needle point of the Pledge of Allegiance, and it is very old now and is fading, and that was a gift that I got, when I graduated college. And here I have a little shadow box because I want a dollhouse and I couldn't find one. My husband got me this little shadow box, and I keep little bits and bobs in there that I love to look at. And again, behind this door is the bedrooms. Maybe I'll show you that one day. And my logo for Knitography that my friend created. And then I just have some shelving with all of these are toys from my childhood. These are the original Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls that has had, they've had new clothes for them made, but these are the original dolls. And because I'm more than 50, they are more than 50. And I had a little radio flyer, and that's my sock monkey. And this is a toy that I had when I was, I think I got that when I was about 4. And just different things on my shelves. And I have my, dress form Henrietta. And over here in this corner, I have all of my sock yarns and variegated yarns. And then under here, I've just got bits and bobs, and this is going to be a lot of my sewing things, as well as this shelf, even that right now I have my finished objects. And just boxes for sewing bits. And while I was organizing my studio, I also did a needle organization system. I don't know, this is how I organize all my needles. So I have these pockets, and I put the number there, and I just get my needles out. And Emma Grace hasn't zipped this one, but they zip up, and I just keep them organized in that way. And I have some other yarns here for projects. And then I have my desk area where, I work do my schoolwork and yeah, blog updates and whatever. And then you see there's another window and I can see over to the house. And in the middle is really my, yeah, this is my cutting table. I wind yarn here. This is my NG sweater. This is the yarn for that. And I keep things out that, yeah, recent things. This is my new mug from Riga when I went to Latvia. And this is what I hold books on when I'm, books or patterns. And this was my daughter's and son's easel in the art studio that we had before. So I've got, in this basket I've just got lots of lovely things that I like and friends have given me and I like to look at. So basically that's my little studio. It's it used to be an art space for the kids. So in here was everything you can imagine. Paint, sculpture, paper mache, everything. And both of my children are very, very, very creative and artistic. But I noticed in the last year or two that my daughter started high school and is on her way to university, that she was spending less time here. My son was more in the last year, really. This is the door. I usually keep it open and have the natural light. So that's really just my studio. And I have been spending a lot of time up here, especially in the evenings. As I said, I have two teenagers, one 19, one 16. And they do not get up early. So in the morning, I get up, do a few chores that I need to do, make coffee, bring my coffee mug up, and I do, I've done a couple of hours of knitting and then doing some of the work that needs to be done in the garden. Or if we've been at the sea, of course, I haven't spent time here, but then doing the work that needs in the garden. And then in the afternoon, evenings, I've spent lots of time here listening to music, or the news, or some podcast, or whatever I'm doing, and I'm really, really enjoying it. This was a space that I shared with my kids, and it was really hard. And all of this I had inside. I have quite a generous closet, and I kept all of the wool in there in these bins. And actually, I wanted to say everything in this room, not the garden furniture, because this isn't the furniture that I will have after the summer. I have other furniture, but everything in here, all of the shelves, the desk, the chair, the tea service, everything but the bins and this garden furniture I got for free on a website called Finn, or somebody giving it away or whatever. So it's not fancy like that, but it's very functional. I got the lamps for free. The lighting was installed, so that wasn't free. But yeah, I'll be just searching for baskets and bins and all sorts of things that I can find that people are giving away. I've rescued something so beautiful that right now has to be sanded and glued and is in the process of being restored, connected to winding yarn. So I'm hoping to share that also in an upcoming vlog. Right now it's being glued and it's been sanded a little bit. So Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the tour of my little, I don't know, fiber studio, knitting studio. I'm really hoping that in the autumn, when everybody settles back down, that I'll have friends over and we'll have a little tea party. Right now, it's I've had my neighbor over and she's a knitter. We've had a cup of tea and I've had the kids in here, and it's been a really, really nice space. I wanted to answer one question though that I've gotten, I think 3 times, and that is that this is fully insulated. It doesn't have, in our home we don't have any sort of heat. We just have a wood burning stove. But here I have a standing heater for exactly this amount of square meters, and that will heat up this space, and I'll be able to use it all winter long. Now the snow has to be removed, of course, and all of that kept. You have to keep the snow shoveled, and there has to be this sort of metal plate laid on the wood, which has spikes so that you can get up and safely and go down safely. But it is a year-round fiber studio, and I'm so thankful. My whole family got involved, and we redid the floor and the painting, and it has a sort of a yellow tinge when I'm videoing because all of this wood is natural, and I just wanted the natural wood so that it felt cabin-like. So yeah. So I'm fingers crossed. My daughter is going to join us in the next little segment, and there won't be very much editing to this. I'm just going to put it up and put it out there. So I hope you enjoy it and you'll forgive all of the technological glitches. We've got a busy, it's Friday, and we've got a busy evening ahead of us. So yeah, so hopefully Emma Grace will join us now for telling about her knitting and her sweaters. So now it's kind of midday, and we are kind of dressed and up, moving about, and so Emma Grace is going to join me now to share her projects that she's been working on this summer. So, hey.
Hello.
So this is Emma Grace, and she's almost 19. And I told in the beginning of the vlog that she started knitting when she was quite small with her farmwood. And then my mom, I told about Grandma. And then I showed a little bit about a sweater that she started knitting when she was 12. And she actually reminded me that we were knitting the same pattern, right? Kind of like a knit along, so that she could kind of learn along the way. And I showed it a little bit before. I showed all the lovely things that, you know, she has beautiful raglan increases, and her ribbing is beautiful, and her stitching, but you weren't happy with the sweater,
No.
were you? So tell us some of the things you learned and some of the challenges that you had.
Well, first of all, the sleeves on this sweater, it is incredibly uneven. I don't know if you can see this. I have no idea how that happened or what that is. The sleeves are completely different. Let me show. It's a bit hard, but they are messed up. One is longer than the other. They're a bit wonky. I did not increase at the same place on the sleeves.
You
so
said there were
weird.
lots of holes
There
in
are
it.
holes in it. I don't understand how that happened, but there are holes in the sweater. Under the arms one of them is kind of sewed up. The other one is not. Well, the other one is not really sewed up either. It's got holes. I didn't weave in any of the edges. I didn't know what I was doing, really.
So anyway, but this was your very first sweater, and you never wore it,
No.
did you? But anyway, I have saved it because I think it's a treasure, and you did learn a lot from it, and you enjoyed knitting it.
Yes.
And I told again that the yarn was some of the first pickles yarn in Abuela, and it's a Peruvian. I think it's worsted weight. But it is really lovely. But anyway, so that was a learning experience
Yes.
and your first sweater. And then you're really a holiday knitter, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's really busy with music and her school, and she loves to read and to draw and to make things, but she has very little time, and she also has a kind of a weekly job that she does babysitting for people in the symphony, so she's can be quite busy. But this was really your very first proper jumper, gensid på norsk, that she did. And what's the name of this one?
It's the Holmenkollen sweater.
And where is Holmenkollen?
Isn't that where the ski jumps are?
Yeah, those are the ski jumps. This is a place outside of Oslo. And this is a pattern out of in Norway, it's very interesting because when you are going to buy a pattern, you buy them in these books called hefte. And you cannot buy the hefte without buying the yarn. You can't buy this pamphlet without also purchasing the yarn. So they have a little system like that. And so this is the pattern that you wanted to make, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so beautiful. And you do love this sweater. Yes. But tell us what you learned and some of the challenges.
Well, the reason why I don't wear it as often as I would is mostly because, well, again, the sleeves, they're a little bit different, but you can't see it. The main problem is under the arms. I finished this quite late at night, so I kind of rushed it, excited to be done. And it's just completely horrible the way I've sewed it up. It's just bulky right? And not nice. And I think the reason for this being so like bad is mostly because I didn't know what to do. And also in Norwegian patterns, you have to bind off both where the arm is supposed to be and on the sleeve and sew it up. And
so now you've learned to leave those stitches live and graft them together because that's a better feel under the arm, isn't it? And then you were a little bit not happy with the collar, but she thought her sewing wasn't nice, but her sewing is very nice. It really just needs a good blocking because this sweater has only been steam blocked, which is really how Norwegian patterns are, aren't they? They don't wet block as much as they steam block. So this one has been steam blocked. And if you want to see, we have some pretty professional photographs on my Instagram feed. They're kind of way down because this one was done quite a long time ago, wasn't it? And again, this comes from Somnes Tama 35. And the yarn is all Somnes, isn't it?
Yeah.
You used all of Somnes garn to knit it. And these are both...
I didn't use Somnes, actually. You were going to knit that fisherman sweater, which...
it's Dala.
So it's Dala. And,
it's Dala
and
garn.
I used because she didn't want to knit that or pulled it out or something.
I frogged it.
Yeah.
Frogged it.
And then I got the yarn to try to make this.
Yeah, so this is Dala garn, which is that's a very traditional wool that's used in all of the Olympic sweaters. So a lot of people say that it's Dale yarn, but it's Dala, and they make all of the traditional Norwegian sweaters, so it's just beautiful. Really nice. It has a very nice stitch definition, and that's true. I was going to make the fisherman sweater a Dala pattern when I started knitting, but I didn't understand about gauge and it didn't fit, so we frogged that, and Emma used this, didn't you?
Yes.
And then right after
I finished that sweater. I wanted to make something else, and then I wanted to do something more intricate. something with a bit more design.
And you went to get the yarn for the
Nancy sweater.
Nancy Gensid. And this is a very traditional pattern, isn't it? So many people have knit the Nancy Gensid, but they haven't made these, what are they called in Norwegian? Loose.
Little dots.
The little pricks.
And
or
also, there's another picture in here where they have, you see the
collar.
Some
Okay.
people haven't knit that part.
Yeah, and you're going to talk about that collar, aren't you? So here's your finished sweater.
So
And it smells like lavender because we've just wet blocked
I
it.
finished this a couple days ago, so it's not, I haven't sewed in any of the ends or done under the sleeves or anything, but it's pretty much done and it's soft.
And you love it.
Yeah.
And this is out of what kind of yarn?
Mini alpaca bice on this. So I knitted in the exact yarn and the exact way as on the
So this
picture
is
in
a
the
pure alpaca, but it's extremely thin, isn't
Yeah,
it? It's
it's
called
very
mini
thin.
alpaca, and we'll talk about the regular alpaca soon. But tell some of the things. What did you learn about knitting this sweater?
Well, the first thing that I found really difficult was starting the sweater because the yarn is so thin. You can see here it's so thin and like stringy kind of, and lots of little tiny hairs in it. So it was really hard to cast it on and start. It took me like
For ages.
times.
But
before I
what
got
did
it.
you? But what? How many stitches was it? Also, do you remember? And
No,
you have. She's still learning to count stitches.
Yeah.
You find that really
I
challenging.
found that kind of difficult because I don't really know. It's kind of difficult to count like 300 stitches.
Yeah.
But it's not 300.
But anyway,
it's
and then when you got it cast on, you
then
really.
it really just got started, and then it was a long like bottom cuff thing. What do I call it?
Yeah.
And then I got to the pattern, which motivated me, and then I kind of got.
And did you enjoy
halfway.
knitting these loose, the pricks, the what do you call these in English?
You can call them dots. I
Yeah,
guess.
the dots. Yeah, because they're called loose, and that's just that stitch pattern. Very traditional in
Yeah.
Norwegian patterns.
It kind of felt like once you got kind of halfway, the reason I have, because I cast it on the Holmenkollen and finished that, and then I wanted to knit this, and it took forever to start this, and then once I got halfway, I kind of stopped because it felt like I was just knitting and it was going nowhere.
And that was Easter,
So it
right?
was Easter.
Yeah.
And then I put it down, and then I finished the body, and I put it down again, because then I had to work on the sleeves, and again,
And then I
starting with the
reminded
cuffs.
you.
And then she reminded me, and I thought, okay, let's just finish this, because I'm
And
soon
you
at
loved knitting the
This
yoke.
was so much fun.
Yeah. And
was-
so quick,
yeah.
right?
And really, actually, quite easy, even though
What do you
it
think
looks
makes
kinda
it easy?
complicated.
Because, I mean, a lot
It
of
was-
people would think this was, like, amazing.
It's remembering the patterns. It was a lot of like 3 1 3 1, and then you just
So, like,
have
it
to
was
remember
very-
the same thing. It's just repeating the pattern, and it just, this seems kind of hard, but it was just once you did the first 3 times of the pattern, you kind of got a hang of it. So it was
Yeah.
just,
And
and it was
you're-
the same thing all the way around. So you remember.
And, you know, we talked a little bit about how people, you know, remember the repetitive pattern. And I told
Yeah.
you that I really remember it, like, connect it to music, like, you know, beats in a way. And you said
Yeah.
that you remembered it how?
Well, kind of the same. I don't know really how I do it. I just think of the numbers and then
Like 3
kinda-
1 3 1,
yeah, so
like
kind of
that.
like beats or
Yeah, and I do that
something,
as
so.
well. So that's interesting. We were thinking about and wondering how other people remembered a repetitive pattern because we're very musical and we connect it to like beats. So in my head, when I'm repeating the pattern or trying to learn it, I just do it in music. And you said that you also did that.
Yeah.
Now, we, again, she bound off before we could talk about it. But
the Norwegian way.
she did it the Norwegian way, but I'm going to help her with this. And I'm going to teach her, you know, and you saw it on my sweater, so she won't do this again.
No.
I recommend highly that you keep these stitches live on waist yarn or whatever, and then you know, graft them, because that's much less bulky. Now I just wanted to show, because this is really where you see somebody that's, you know, got some skill. This is the wrong side.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I
Now
mean,
what is
turn it
not
around.
nice
It's all
and frustrated her mom was that she would not stop saving so much. You don't need this much.
I didn't
and we
know
ended
what
up
to do.
and we ended up having to go buy another skein
But
of
that
yarn.
was not this. That was not this problem at all, actually. It was just the pattern. The sweater needed more yarn.
We don't really know why, though, do we? But anyway, this
this
is
is
not
not-
appropriate.
This will not be
So
fun to
next
do.
time we know that you don't need to save
No.
that much for weaving in, which I thought was so sweet.
And also in the sleeves is kind of different, because if you can see here, it's just lots of like loose strings that are like cut off.
Mm-hmm.
But in the sleeve, I don't know, it's different from, it's little loops.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know, I thought, okay, this will be easier, then I don't have to break it off. But
You do.
I don't know, still don't know what I'm going to do with this.
Yeah, but I'll show you, right?
So yeah.
So that's what the sleeve looks like. I mean, you know, there's a lot of ends to weave in, but this is a sweater to last a lifetime. And then I think it's so funny because you were so excited and you knitted and everything, but you got extremely fed up with
The
knitting
collar.
15 centimeters of this, right?
Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
I feel like kind of, once I started, like, because it needs to be folded over, once I folded it over, I said, okay, it needs the 15 or it won't look right. And then once I got to the 15, I kind of was a bit done. I didn't want to have anything more to do with it until, like, it was blocked and
So
weaved in.
while I show your new, and then right after this we were so excited when you cast off and we washed it. We went and she picked out another sweater. So I was thinking, while I show that sweater, would you pop that on?
Yes.
Okay. So we went to our local yarn shop, which is, down the mountain. And it's not my favorite yarn shop, but go over there and pop it on. But they, you know, it's a place you can go. And anyway, so right after that, Emma wanted to make this kind of a Lopisa inspired Eskimo pattern. Now the original Eskimo pattern is in the other hefta or thing that she did. This is the first Eskimo pattern. It's a real beautiful one, and I also want to knit this one. But this is the modern one. This one came out last year. It's knit in the regular alpaca, which is absolutely stunning. Emma's going to tell you about that. Okay, now you got on your sweater.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's really lovely. You just need to sort this out. So this looks, oh, look how pretty. Let's get that. Are you happy with the collar like that?
Yeah, now I am after
Yeah.
it's blocked, because in the start it was like sticking out like this.
Right.
It did not look.
Yeah, it
proper, so-
looks. And how does it feel?
It's really soft.
Now, do you think you're going to have to wear something under that alpaca? Because
Maybe,
you're not
but I don't think so.
itchy by alpaca like
No.
some people, right?
No.
And also when we do the arms, this will go away.
It will all
And
be-
turn around to the back so we can see the back. And that, I'm going to do the camera so it's just stunning on you. Now stand up a little bit so we can see the loose. Come down a little bit. And then, oh yeah, now you see it so well. And so it just needs, are you motivated to finish it?
Yes.
Yeah, and she's got, you know, this is the size small, so there's lots of room. It doesn't feel bulky anywhere,
No,
does it?
it feels really nice.
It's
so.
lovely. Oh my gosh. Okay, and so now we went to our local yarn shop. She got really excited, and she's knitting on this. And show what you've done so far. First of all, this is the yarn. This is the regular alpaca, so this is a bit thicker. I would say this is a, yeah, heavy fingering, maybe getting close to, maybe a sport weight, yeah? And you're just in love with it. She has knit on this. And what did you learn about knitting sweaters, though?
Sleeves first.
Like, yeah,
All
sleeves
the time.
first.
If you can knit the sleeves first, because when you knit the body and get to the sleeves will take forever, and then you will not be motivated at all.
And that was
so. I've only started the first sleeve.
Look.
So.
And
but
this
it's
has,
so
look at the
pretty.
halo. This is baby soft. And you just love alpaca, don't you? And actually, alpaca is warmer than wool, and you're quite a cold person.
Yeah.
You're always cold, so she really loves alpaca, but you don't love magic loop.
I do not like magic loop at all, so I'm struggling a little bit because first of all, these needles are really like short actually. So they're not, I don't really know if they're meant for magic loop. But
we have one set of DPNs, but they're on my kofta.
Yeah.
So I'm going to order her, yeah, we've got to get back to the shop to get her a set of DPNs because I just have the set and I use them as I go, and I have loads of sock needles, but never the 3s and the 3 1/2s.
Never the ones, because we're always knitting kind of the same things.
Right. So anyway, but you hate magic loop, so we got to
I don't really
get.
like it, but it's working out okay.
And now you have done much better with your increases.
Yeah, now I have kind of figured out like a
you
little
see,
method.
look how even that looks. That's so nice. You can see your increases are perfect. You've come a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so this is your next sweater.
Yeah.
Now, do you think you've set yourself a goal? Do you think you're going to get this finished before in 2.5 weeks?
I don't know.
Are you going to try?
I'm going to try because I really want to wear this, but we'll see.
Okay, and will you come back and will you share it again?
I guess so.
Okay, so go get one of your monsters.
Yeah.
So I got Emma some Cascade 220 in lots of bright colors, and for Christmas and her stocking, and I got her this the big book of knitted monsters, and she loves to make toys. So that when Grandma came,
We made
lots of monsters. So I have these in the studio because I love them. But this is, do you remember the name of this monster? Anyway, it's in the big book of knitted monsters, and this is by Rebecca Danger, and she's quite a prolific, oh my goodness. She's quite a prolific toy designer. And so this one, I love this one. And you learned a bit how socks work with this,
Yes.
didn't you? Yeah. So this is Cascade 220, which is really nice. But oh dear, we've just found out that her weaving in, he needs a little repair.
Yeah.
So, and you got inspired that you thought when we tidied up the studio that you might like to make some more monsters.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have Cascade 220, which is a beautiful, just regular wool, 100% pure wool to make toys is a really good one. He's cute too, right? So, what do you enjoy about making toys?
They're just easy, and also you learn increase and decreasing and different things sewing together. It's like a puzzle kind of. So.
Yeah. So show us in the book the one that you were thinking about making if you have time before school starts.
Yes. See, where is it?
So, yeah. So then, yeah, you got your toy.
I think it's one of the first ones. Yes, here.
So this one is called, what's he called? He's
Harold.
called Harold. And I love it because she really enjoyed it when she got this because it tells a little story, and he's a plant monster. So he makes your plants grow. We need that inside, don't we?
Yes.
We're so good at outside plants, but inside plants, oh dear. Anyway, that's really cute, isn't it? So that is Emma's summer of knitting. And the only last thing I want to say is we, as I told you, we remodeled the studio. Emma helped me. She did all the high painting, and she helped her papa to install the floor, and you really enjoyed it and everything.
Sorted
But
all the yarn.
like since you were 1 or something, we've had this art studio. And tell some of the things that you could just come up here and do whatever you wanted to do. Tell some of the things you have done for, I
Well,
think you really stopped coming up here like wholeheartedly when you were like 15, didn't you?
yeah,
You
but
ran
that
out of
was
time.
mostly because no time, and then suddenly we just started. We had other projects with the house, and then it started becoming a little storage area, and then we realized we don't need all this storage area. So
But
we
now
wanted
that
to
it's
do
a
something
knitting,
new with it.
yeah, but now that it's knitting, have you been up here knitting a lot?
Yes.
And you like to be up here?
It's really cozy, so.
Okay, so tell some of the things you could do, all the different things we had.
We always had paints, especially, and that was usually what I really wanted to do.
Paints,
We had
watercolors,
and then we also had chalk and pastels and lots of different art supplies.
and you had sculpture,
We had paper mache and
a wire art.
yeah.
You made paper dolls.
We had like clay and different
printing.
types of printing.
You did lots of printing, those things that you roll and carve out.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to think. We had paints, and we had sculpture, and you had all kinds of beadwork and lots of embroidery and sewing. It was also sewing, wasn't it?
It was a sewing studio.
Yeah, and you made
really.
all of your costumes, all your Halloween costumes. She would draw them out, and she made all of her Halloween costumes. And yeah, you just would come up here, and we would spend hours and hours. We spent all of our holidays here. But were you sad when we turned it into a knitting place?
Not really, because after not being up in the studio as much because of time, some of the paints were drying out, and some of the supplies were not that good anymore because they were old, and it was kind of sad to throw all that away. But then still, we do have them,
and we donated.
And
we donated,
a lot,
and we still have lots that we're going to bring out.
We're going to bring
But
that
did
out
that
soon.
do you think it'll stop your creativity or
No.
Okay, because you're a drawer. She really draws and loves to paint.
Well, when you're surrounded by all the color that's in this room, you can't not be like creative.
Right. So now, even you said you might bring your friends up
Yeah.
here, right, and do like a tea party, and yeah. I mean, the kids really like to have the family room, the living room in our house for their friends and for games. And, that gets a bit loud for me and her dad. So it is nice to have a quiet place, isn't it?
And also a place where there's actually space for your big stash,
Oh
Mom.
my God. So yeah, that was a bit shocking, wasn't it, when it was all out visually.
And
you really
and on
enjoyed
shelves
Right. And you
cats
really
got into
enjoyed
it.
organizing it. And Emma
Yeah.
really is responsible for organizing it into
Yeah.
rainbow colors. She wanted to do that bit. And so, yeah. So how did, you're kind of shy, but was this okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Emma. All right. Okay, so I'll be back to end the vlog. And hopefully when we see Emma Grace again, she will be finished with her Lopisa inspired traditional yoke. So yeah, that was nice to have Emma join me, and she's incredibly shy, and I don't know. She said it was okay, but I had to bribe her a little bit to come on, and hopefully she'll come back and show her knitting, because I think it's so lovely in Norway that younger girls, I mean, knitting is coming back, and her friends do knit. They do sometimes take their knitting to school, and this age really likes to be together in coffee shops, and she's going to a coffee shop next week, so she was really wanting a project bag. She forgot to show the project bag, but my mom sent some Dr. Seuss inspired fabric, and I made her it's like sneeches, and I made her a little bag, and she's excited to take that. Maybe I'll show that next time. Again, you can find me as P4CHEN, P Fortune on Instagram. I'm not going to do any fancy music or anything. I'm just going to put this together in iMovie and get it uploaded. Message me if you have any questions. I want to thank you for watching. I hope you've had a wonderful, wonderful summer. I'm looking forward to getting back maybe to recording more often and taking you on some adventures in my city and around the farm. I hope you've enjoyed the tour of my studio. And yeah, and we'll see you next time. Happy knitting, friends.